Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Diaside, and in this video, we're going to discuss the 3 C's rule on how to aim in Destiny 2 PvP. I'm sure that many of you are curious as to what exactly these 3 C's actually are. Well, just the same way that you happen to have the 3 C's for business and for leadership, there's 3 C's to Destiny 2 PvP, and those are conditions, centering, and concise. Now don't sweat it, my friends, as I will discuss as to exactly and precisely what all these things actually are, and on top of this, I think that the best way to actually comprehend and learn these things is to give you actual examples. And so that's what this entire video is all about once you comprehend exactly what conditions, centering, and concise actually is. The only thing left to do is just to simply sit back, relax, grab a break at that Kit Kat bar, and hit the notification button, and let's jump right into the video. As previously mentioned, the 3 C's are conditions, centering, and concise. Let's go back to the first one, talking about conditions. Conditions is pretty much everything and anything in dealing with your environment to maybe something like, say, the weapon that you're using, as well as the abilities that you actually have. It's all about knowing, do you have a melee ability? Can you dodge? Can you put a rift down? Can you put up a shield? All those things combined make up conditions, but not just this, as it also includes knowing as to exactly where your teammates currently are, where the enemies are most likely then going to be, and even things such as knowing whether or not you're in a hallway or doorway, are you in an open environment, all that jazz makes up conditions. Next up is centering, and centering is pretty much the one thing that you absolutely have to master if you want to aim properly, and that is in reference to a technique that I like to call centering your targets. It's a very basic process, and it's probably something that you actually already do in every single engagement, but you're not even aware that you're actually doing so. And so pretty much what it boils down to is number 1, centering the enemy guardian directly in your crosshairs before you ever aim down sights, and then once that's done, number 2, actually aiming down sights and taking that first shot. This is being done for hand cannons, snipers, shotguns, auto rifles, sidearms, SMGs, you name it, every single kind of weapon that can be fired, regardless of whether or not it's a semi-auto or full auto weapon, is using this exact same principle, and don't worry, we'll cover many of these weapons with examples in just a couple of seconds. The third C is concise, and this is actually a little bit in correspondence as well as in relation to centering your target. And the reason why this is because the centering your target technique is designed to make it so that you have to make the minute of minute adjustments after you ADS. What is this then referencing? Being concise. And so as you already can tell, this is then going to make those minute adjustments that much easier to do via centering your target, but also being concise is in reference to something like, say, moving less, jumping less, doing more with less in general, and if you can apply all 3 of these C's, you are going to land almost every single shot and truly annihilate, decimate, and obliterate every guardian in your path. Now that we're all on the exact same page as to what exactly the 3 C's are, let's see some wonderful examples using all the weapons, SMGs, snipers, hand cannons, that kind of jazz, as to see how they might be functioning with each, and the first example is using one of my favorite SMGs known as the Huckleberry. As I approach the B capture point on Pacifica, what do I see? 4 guardians, so I go from one to the next, and lo and behold, I take out every single one of them via this wonderful Huckleberry, but the way in which I do this is exceptionally important. It's probably some things that you didn't even realize, so let's go ahead and rewind this and play it one more time in slow motion. Applying the 3 C's, we have the first one, conditions, and right off the bat then I know that I have to take out 4 guardians very fast. The second C is centering, and what you're going to notice is that within every single one of these engagements, I actually zoomed in, zoomed out, zoomed in, zoomed out, and that's then what allowed me to actually center my target more frequently and let's land more of my shots. With the third C being concise, I was actually able to go from one guardian to the next, moving almost as minuscule as possible simply by doing one major action, and that is sliding to the box near the B capture point, but then after that, it was simple on a piece of cake as I went from one guardian to the next, and it was just that easy. In essence, what this boils down to is tracking guardians one at a time, but doing it with a full auto weapon. And so the next weapon that I want to do this with is with a semi-auto weapon known as the Traveler's Chosen. In this engagement, I happen to find myself in the depot going to a lane on Bannerfall. I take out my sniper, I don't see him, but then all of a sudden there he is. So I swap out my Traveler's Chosen and get the first guy. Go to the next engagement a little bit further down the hall, see my rare to my left, take out the sniper, get the body shot, push up around the Mohawk, get that guardian, spin around, get the next guardian at the B capture point, and then finally see my last guardian via that radar, once again in the hall, and shoot him just as well, one at a time. Going back to those 3 C's, the first condition was that I was in a hallway, and so I knew that my sniper might be more advantageous in this position. However, there was a guardian that I wasn't expecting, so I gotta take that into account with that first engagement. Afterwards, you're then going to take out that sidearm and go from engagement to engagement to engagement, doing the second C, which is centering your target. The way in which that happened was a little bit different than the last engagement, as I have to find different guardians by going over different types of environments, and thus this then leads me to my next C, and that is being concise. Notice that my movements were very direct, and I knew as to exactly what I was going to do ahead of time after I took that sniper shot from the guy with the mohawk. I literally just walked around. There wasn't anything special. I was going from one engagement to the next, simply doing a strafe mechanic and going left to right for all the next 3 guardians. Once again, you see how the 3 Cs are applying in this engagement, and they do the exact same thing with other semi-auto weapons, and the next case is going to be with another semi-auto weapon known as the Dire Promise, aka a hand cannon. As I take out my Dire Promise and go to the yellow room, you're then going to see that I'm then using this pillar right in front of me for cover and going from left, right, 24/7, and what do? I get 1, 2, and potentially almost that 3rd guardian before I'm finally downed. Rewind this and playing it in slow motion one more time, take away the first C, and that is conditions. I happen to be in a very close confined space, and what do I have to give me cover? This wonderful pillar, so I'm going to utilize it every single second. The second C, centering, is applying the centering your target technique. And what am I doing behind this cover every single time? I'm literally not even zoomed in. I find my target, zoom in, de-zoom, go to the other side, and do the same process over and over again, all while maintaining cover and doing as much damage as I possibly can. As far as the third C goes, being concise, I am literally moving maybe 3 feet, aka 1 meter, at the very most. You cannot possibly be any more concise than this, allowing your brain to make the best decisions possible via the muscle memory. Speaking of muscle memory, this actually brings me to my next point once again with a hand cannon, this time my favorite hand cannon, and that is to kill the orchid. And what are we gonna see? The 3 C's applied once again. I find myself at the A capture point, and then I see a guy at the end of the railing, so what do? Shot, 3 crits, reload, get rampage and kill clip to proc, get a wonderful and oh so glorious 2-tap, followed by then a second guardian who actually catches me off guard before I'm then taken out. As I rewind this and play in slow motion one more time, you're then going to realize that up until that moment I died, I actually landed every single shot, almost every single one of them being a critical headshot. This was because what I understand is once again the 3 C's. The first C, condition 1, is that I happen to have a Titan barricade directly in front of me, so I'm going to use that for cover. The second C, centering your target, was applied from the first, second, and third guardians up until that last one, which caught me off by surprise. The third C, concise, is going from the right side of the barricade just simply to the other side of the barricade, and what happens, I take out 3 guardians by simply moving 2 meters at the very most, and it's just that simplistic. Now, something that I haven't covered in this video, but I have covered in a past video that goes very in depth on this, is mastering shot rhythm specifically for hand cannons. If that piques your interest and you want to land crits as often as you can and get as many of those juicy, crispy, spicy 2-taps on a regular basis, then that video is definitely for you, and I'll link it on the top right hand corner of your screen this very second. With this, we're going to go on to the next engagement, and this next example is pretty much going to be mass chaos using one component of the 3 C's, and that is conditions. Pulling out that trusty kill the orchid, here I happen to find myself on the C capture point. And what do I see? 1 guardian, 2 guardians, get both of them down with relative ease. So I crouch, happen to see a second guardian, reload, proc kill clip and rampage, do a little bit of damage, miss a couple of shots, whip out that shotgun, get both of them, but then do the melee uppercut, and bada bing bada boom, we've got all the guardians down. As I rewind this engagement one more time and play it in slow motion, you are then going to realize that what I'm doing over and over again is applying the first C, and that is conditions. I realized that I myself was one shot after those first 2 guardians, and upon that I then had to get some cover. So what do? I use this block in front of me. After that, I then try and get the next guardian down because I know I can 2-tap him via kill clip and rampage on my kindled, aka the second condition. Despite me not being able to 2-tap that guy, I was able to then realize that what they were doing is retreating, and lo and behold, the next 2 guardians come out of nowhere. So what do? I take out my shotgun, I center my target, and then I zoom in and shoot both of them with one single spread shotgun shot. As usual, things don't always go as planned, but what do you have to have? Backups, and that's what happened with that very last shotgun shot, and even though I missed that shot, I still had a backup to then go ahead and use my melee uppercut, and what happens? That comes into play, and so you can really see how this one particular example is using conditions over and over again. With this, we've now seen a ton of examples, but we really haven't seen any with one thing, and that is snipers. As you and I both know, these exact same 3 C's, conditions, centering, and concise, all work with using snipers just as well. And so the very first example that we got using this is on Widow's Court. I find myself playing a game of survival. I'm then going to expect a guardian at the top of the A steps, and lo and behold, there he is. As soon as this happens, I'm then going to push up, and as I do so, I see my teammate toss some skip grenades, so I follow those skip grenades, center my target, and get that fantastic and oh so wondrous quickscope. As I rewind this engagement, I want you to take away 2 things from this. The first C, conditions, can also refer to something at the beginning of the round that are then going to infer as to where guardians actually might be before they're actually there. That's exactly what happened here. But the second thing, centering your target, and here it's referring to that crazy quickscope that I had, but in all honesty, I was not expecting to get that quickscope, and so in reality, what do you see? I put it on pause because you noticed that what I did is I pulled out my hand cannon instantly and right at his dead body. Where was my hand cannon? Ready to take that shot, once again applying the centering your target technique. Applying all these concepts one more time, we're then going to look at the next engagement, and we happen to find ourselves with the supremacy at the wagon. Here I happen to see one guardian at the very top of the bridge. I see the second guardian again at the top of the bridge, take him out just as well. Pick up some ammo, reload, then try and proc kill clip on this thing, get the next guardian by doing a fantastic drag scope, and get that one last guardian in the very back of the map for the victory. For that first guardian, it was pretty easy, but the second guardian was actually even easier because what I did is I actually used that same frame of reference with that previous sniper shot, so that when I zoomed in, I had to make a minute adjustments, applying that third C, aka concise. After that, I had no more ammo, so what does this imply? A condition. Applying that first C, conditions yet again, but then what I did as I zoomed in, I noticed that I was terribly off, as you can see from right there putting on pause, so I had to make a drastic adjustment with my right joystick, and then as I happened to get that guy via that drag scope, I then went to the last guardian in the very back of the map, and then used my left joystick to simply make one more tiny minute adjustment and get that last critical headshot. How I downed that third and fourth guardian is pivotal to understand because it's in reference to being concise, and so if you want to make a rapid change while already aiming down sights with your sniper, pull down on the right joystick or up or left or right, wherever you gotta go. If you want to make a minute adjustment because you already realize that where you're aiming is already at head level height, then simply take your left joystick and move your character, and just like the song goes, boom, headshot is gonna happen every single time. Applying everything that I've just said and doing this one more time with this last engagement, I'm actually not gonna say anything and let you guys just simply watch this.
Two for one.
Can we say some quickscopes, baby? Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And having seen that, I think it's safe to say that enemy guardians might just become a little bit salty. And the reason being is because everything that I've been describing this entire video, conditions, centering, concise, was applied so rapidly fast that I myself couldn't even believe that it actually happened. These things are actually very simple to do, but doing them in rapid succession like this is quite challenging, and the best way to do this is to keep these 3 C's in mind and apply them yourselves. Once you do so, there is no doubt in my mind that you can do this over and over again and use it not just for hand cannons, but for snipers and SARMs and whatever you want to use it for, and when this occurs, well, let's just say that the pH levels are going to be full of one thing, and that is sodium chloride. With that, Diaslayers, I give the floor to you, and so I can't wait to hear as to exactly what you say, and no matter what you do say, you can always guarantee that I'm going to respect your opinions, and that is something that I can guarantee. Lastly, be sure to watch the newest, check the latest, and share, comment, like on social media because you are the greatest. That's pretty much all I've got for you as of right now, Diaslayers, and as always, GG TNT.